Hi, this is John again, the owner and developer of VectorDecks. The next tool we're going to work with is the step tool. It appears here in the tool set with the little step icon. Now this tool was quite a challenge. Being a carpenter myself, I built a lot of these steps and a lot of sun decks. And one of the most difficult parts of the construction of the sun deck is the steps. There's just so many things involved in the step. There's a rise and a run, and there's all these little intricate parts, stringers, and then depending on the rise and run, you're dealing with all these different angles involved in the rails. You have customers who want to turn the steps on a slight turn, or they want to involve a U-shaped type transition from the deck. Again, being a carpenter, it's very challenging to build these. It could take as long, if not longer, to build the steps than the whole entire sun deck itself. Now, trying to write a plugin that could do this quickly with just one click was even more challenging. Fortunate it is that I am a carpenter and I built a lot of these because it kind of made it a little easier to understand where and why you need to have certain things at certain locations. I can't imagine a software engineer having to try to figure out all these different type of transitions with the sun deck and the step without having an understanding of how to build it. So I had the advantage of designing this with the carpentry skills involved. The approach I used was, what if I'm building this step? How would I build it? And it took the terms what if to heart, because there's going to be a lot of different what ifs involved in the construction of any step. And I try to put as many what if possibilities, but still keeping it down to one simple click. So let's get started. Let me go ahead and delete this step first. And I'm going to get in top plan view. As I explained in the previous tutorials, it's always good to work with all the tools in top plan view, particularly the steps. There's so much going on in this step. It's really good to have a good top perspective so you understand where things are. Now I'm going to pop in a sun deck surface that we can work with. Have that step come off of. I'm using VectorWorks rectangle tool, and I'm going to convert this to a VectorDecks frame. Move this to the side a little bit. Now let's go ahead and work with that tool. Go ahead and select the VectorDecks step tool in that toolsets palette. And as soon as you click on it, the tool itself is going to produce sort of an outline, a dashed outline of the step. You see it here. And it also centers itself on that back edge of the step, and that's the point that we're going to come off the sun deck. Now in VectorWorks menu bar here, you're going to see some options. You could have that at the left edge. You can see the little plus sign. You can click this and install it off that left edge, the center, the right edge, or a specified location. Pretty much I just use that center edge because I kind of want to know where I want that step to be centered off of what side or where it's being placed on the sun deck frame. I'll zoom in a little closer and show you where we're going to place it. The step, again, I'm on that back center edge of the step, and also it needs to attach itself to the inside edge of the sun deck's frame, not the outside edge, the inside edge, just like the rail. What's involved, I'm going to attach this to the center of this inside edge of this deck. The first click installs the step right into the deck, and then before you make that second click, you have this option of rotating it in the direction you would like for the step to run off the deck with. I'm going to just have it go off the side. So once I'm comfortable with where I want it to go and where it is, I make that second click. Now we have the steps exactly where we'd like to have it, and also you'll see it gives a little 4x4 or where the post rail will be for the step when it comes off the deck for any other rails to attach to. In its object information palette, just as in all the tools, you're going to see that Use Deck Info checked. Also in the field that has Sundeck name, it automatically just pops in Sundeck. So now the step knows that it's a child of the frame parent, and because that Use Deck Info is checked, it's going to respond to whatever the parent settings are. For example, if we change this, the frame elevation, and let's raise it, say 72, you see the child, the step, picks up that parent's request. Now you're not going to see a whole lot of other variables or parameters to change in that object information palette. Mainly because, like I said earlier, the step is an extremely complicated plugin. And when I developed this many years ago, I had this object information palette stretch just going down and down and down with all these different parameters. So what I've done here to make it very simple for a user, created everything in menus that we're going to go and discuss in great lengths so you'll have an understanding how extensive this tool is. But for now I wanted you to understand how simple it was to just pop in that step. And another thing to note that in the construction of a sun deck as a carpenter and a deck contractor, I don't know where to place the rails unless I know where the step's going to be. So the natural process of developing your drawing, for me, I always do the frame and then I do the beam. Pop on a beam here for you. And then I place the step. Now I know where the step begins and ends. So when I go in there to put my rail, I know I can start the rail and stop it right there where that particular post is going to be, and then pick it up again on the other side. So let me just pop this rail in here real quick and we'll show you a 3D of this step for now. Again, all these other components are set to listen to the frame, so I'm going to select the frame, convert it to 3D, and let's rotate this in a 3D view. And there we have it. We have that opening, you have all the rails where they are, and I left a lot of the control of the step in this step specifications button. And if you notice, unlike the deck frame where the rails were not created automatically, you had to use a rail tool to create them, I made the step have the rails created with the step. And then if you make any rail changes in your frame, the step's going to pick up all those changes. Now the step is still going to have a tremendous amount of independent capability and still remain a child to the parent. And as you see here, the Use Deck information is still selected. But in the step specifications button, you're going to have all kinds of options to change that step and not have to change your location or your installation after that one click. For example, here you're going to be able to, let's say, make that a step to a landing. You could define how many steps between the two landings. Make it a U-shaped type transition. A kite, this was the kind that you saw in the beginning of this tutorial. We'll even flare at bottom. And then when you click on OK, you're going to have the step with just one point and click installation, a whole bunch of what if type of scenarios. And it's still going to be a child to the frame, the parent. We're going to get into detail with those menus and the power of that step in our next tutorials.